Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Berglund, Commissioner Tolkash,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken, Mayor Schmitz,
Here.
and Vice Chair Freilich.
Here. We'll move on to public comment. Are there any public comments? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Tolkash, second by Mayor Schmitz. Roll call, please. Any further discussion? None. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tolkash,
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Freilich.
Yes. Move on to the regular agenda. ATAC addendum amendment for Mandan signalized intersection data collection. Kim?
Thank you very much, Chair Freilich, members of the board. Exhibit RC in your packet, beginning on page 19, is the ATAC amendment to the Mandan signalized intersection data collection addendum. Sorry, I'm not sharing screen, actually. There we go. This is an addendum or an amendment to a current addendum that we have with ATAC. Our current addendum includes traffic data collection and inclusion on the ATAC traffic analysis tool for up to 5 signalized intersections in Mandan currently. Now, with the nearing completion of the Memorial Highway reconstruction project, and also to provide the most robust and accurate collection of data possible for our 2027 update to the travel demand model, we are proposing to add 3 additional Mandan signalized intersections to this project through this particular amendment. The total project cost of this amendment to add those 3 intersections is $9,828. The MPO would be paying the 80% federal amount of $78,6240, and the city of Mandan would provide the 20% local match of $1,965.60. If approved, this project is set to begin immediately with the setup and the calibration of the 3 additional locations. And it would conclude with the project at or before December 31st, so that we would be able to bill that out prior to the close of the year. However, the benefits from having this on ATAC's traffic data analysis tool are lasting. So that enables our jurisdictions and other entities around the state to access that data that has been collected and to access analysis of the data on an ongoing basis. Mandan indicated that this was a very beneficial project for them yesterday at the TAC meeting. This project is included as part of the overall traffic data collection and analysis project that is in the UPWP. It was administratively added to the UPWP last month, and TAC did recommend approval of this project. Staff is requesting approval for the amendment to the addendum for the 3 additional Mandan locations, and I would be happy to answer any questions should there be any.
Any questions for Kim? If not, what are your wishes, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the ATAC addendum amendment as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Tolkash. Do we have a second? Second by Mayor Schmitz. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tolkash,
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Freilich.
Yes. Move on to the 2027-2028 Unified Planning Work Program. Final adoption. Kim?
Thank you, Chair Freilich, members of the board. The draft 2027-2028 UPWP was introduced to and approved as a draft by TAC and Policy Board in June. Since then, North Dakota DOT has provided comments in addition to those that were received by TAC in June. All the comments have been received, addressed, and have resulted in some changes to the draft document, which I will detail for you here today. Changes included textual modifications to provide clarity along with either the addition of new tables within program areas or providing additional information in existing tables within the document. None of the revisions were of a significant enough nature to alter the intent that was conveyed by the original draft document, nor were funding totals or cost share breakdowns modified at all. Actually, I think that you'll find the revisions pretty helpful, making the information in the document clearer and more easily understandable. So we'll go through a few of those right now. Beginning on page 4 of the document, you can see we have the meetings tables and the dates of the TAC meetings that don't adhere to the standard third Monday of the month have been bolded. So you'll see January, February, and then January and June of 2028 have been bolded, just to call them out a little bit. Further, on page 7, we have a revenue funding source table that was existing. We've just modified that to include a total revenues at the very bottom for both years 2027 and 2028. Moving on to page 9 of the document, where it details the UPWP amendment guidance. This is based on the CFR, and we have added number 9 and number 10 as Code of Federal Regulation citations in events that do require prior approval of our federal or pass-through entities. And on the following page, we provided an additional paragraph at the very top of the page. It talks about amendments and the process that will be followed in providing amendment and notification and when they do become approved. On page 12, we do have a table that was existing. This is the MTP goals table, and we've just provided some headings on this to kind of provide some clarification as to what some of those numbers mean and what the X's mean under the numbers. Moving on to page 14, we're now getting into the task categories or the program areas of the UPWP, and you'll see in task 100 administration, we've got a couple of tables at the bottom that we've added. These are for 2027 and 2028. Basically, these tables show the total federal and local funding amounts as a breakdown. If we, actually I skipped over a couple of other things. There were 3 changes on this particular page. Up at the very top in the paragraph that's titled Purpose, we did add some language to provide clarification. It says that this task uses transportation performance management processes and follows performance-based planning and programming practices. That was existing text. But we also added cost estimates within this task include only the salaries, wages, and benefits paid to staff for their time spent administering the activities identified within. We wanted to make it clear that the costs that are estimated for Task 100 are for salaries, benefits, and wages only, and not the costs of exercising the activities. And additionally, under proposed work, we also stated that the following tables provide cost estimates for total staff time allocated to activities, such as those related to MPO core products and documents, transportation studies, data collection, vendor procurement, transit, and general administration activities requiring staff engagement and time. We'll jump ahead a few pages here. Moving on to Task 200 or Program Area 200 of the UPWP, which includes all of our projects and studies for the 2 years. You can see that on the tables in the following 3 pages, we have added project identification numbers for each of the projects that is listed in these tables. This was to assist in providing a bit of clarification in our reporting to North Dakota DOT, and also to assist North Dakota DOT with their tracking of our projects. Let's see, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling down a little bit here. Following in the Task 300 program area, we have 2 new tables. Again, these tables were added to show the total federal and local funding amounts for each specific activity or expenditure category within the 300 program areas. Those tables have been provided for both 2027 and 2028. In the appendix, we have some text that has been added regarding expectations from consultants and other firms that are interested in providing services to the MPO. We are notifying them within our UPWP that they need to prepare all final deliverables to be WCAG or Website Content Accessibility Guidelines compliant. And then we do detail that throughout the paragraph in how that can be achieved and tested. And moving into our final changes, we will be looking at our budget tables for 2027 and 2028. The same changes were made to each of these tables. Both years have been revised to include identifier numbers for all the activities or projects within each task area. So we brought those project ID numbers over and put them into our budget tables for easy identification. Also, the tables have been updated, just some semantics here, putting dollar signs in areas where the numbers indicated dollar amounts or funding amounts. And we also added some shaded rows between the tasks to help delineate one task from another. Overall, the table of contents would be updated to reflect all the proper pages if this document were approved today. And additionally, the cover will be changed to reflect that it is a final document rather than draft. And the footer of the document would be updated to reflect the adoption date of August 2026. Now, this is a document that does rise to the level of being adopted by resolution for its approval, and TAC did recommend yesterday that the policy board adopt by resolution the 2027-2028 UPWP as presented. But I would be happy to stand for any questions or comments on the document.
Any questions for Kim? If not, what are your wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the final adoption of the 2027-2028 Unified Planning Work Program as presented, including Exhibit R through D.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tokash, second by Mayor Schmitz. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tokash,
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Freilich.
Yes. We'll move on to item number 9, the 2026 Fringe Area Road Master Plan. Joel?
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me okay? Just want to make sure, since I'm the first person outside of staff, that audio is working. Okay, very good. I'm going to go ahead and share a very brief update with everyone today, mostly to let you know that the plan draft, both a document and a map of the network that is really the kind of heart of this Fringe Area Road Master Plan, are both available for public comment right now. We started a public review period yesterday, and have both a draft report available on a website that has hosted other project materials and will be linked through the MPO's website. But we also have a viewable dynamic map that allows users to look at that map and get some information on a particular link of the Fringe Area Road Network and leave a comment there. And I'll show those both in a second. We've got them up live now, so I'll pull them up on screen. But just to give a quick update of where we are with this, this was starting, actually got started yesterday, and we have this set up, like I said, to give more information on the roadway network specifically. So people can comment directly on this map, but they can also view the draft report document, which is linked right next to it on the project website. And there's a simple survey-based tool to capture comments on that as well. So we're going to have that running for a month, and we'll give some more specific dates here at the end of this update. A couple of things from a thematic standpoint that came from our last coordination with the steering committee that really helped to kind of refine the overall direction of the plan. This plan has been kind of evolving as we've shared with you in these updates, and has been really focused on trying to keep the network updated with current roads that have happened through recent development, but also come back to some questions about bigger process and regional priorities. So one of those was, starting to take a look at just how far out this network prescribes new streets to be added with development and the types of streets, and whether or not we needed to have arterials, which tend to have a much greater right-of-way dedication, spaced as frequently as they were in the plan. But the steering committee feedback and consensus was generally, yes, let's keep that because it gives us a lot more flexibility. We haven't been getting, enough pressure from the development community to see a great need to change this. Everyone seems to understand it and it's working. So let's keep what we've got because it's working well, not only to give us space to grow in the future if we do need to make roadway capacity enhancements later on, but also to work with what we have today when we're dealing with some challenges. If you've got more space within your right-of-way, you can take on engineering solutions to challenges of terrain or other physical features that are a lot harder to fit within right-of-way. So having more is better. We're kind of reverting to that. And some other feedback that we got that was also actually shared in this group with the policy board last month was that we want to try to keep this process for the MPO having a voice in transportation impacts on land development with the member jurisdictions. We want to keep that process as simple as possible and not add too much time to it. So we took that to heart, and a series of kind of process steps that we had proposed that all member jurisdictions could use uniformly. We've kind of streamlined those and trimmed those down to where this will fit within the existing kind of timelines. It was always the intent to do that and not add more time. We've made a few little, refinements here and there to reduce that. The biggest of those is that if the MPO is commenting and the technical advisory committee wants to point out some specific concerns with the development, the policy board would be able to hear that and comment on it as well in the same month. We don't have to add another month to the process. So this will really be staff and the member jurisdictions working together to come up with some items for the policy board to review at the same time the TAC is, and really work out any big decision points. That's not the point of doing this. It's really to make sure that the region is thinking together as a region, and if development is bringing some questions or new challenges to any of the network roads that might serve the overall region, that we are thinking about those together and not making too many individual decisions. And then the overall public comment period is going to be running through September 16th. We give 30 days as per the standard with MPO documents. We will be documenting any of the comments that we get and how those comments were addressed, if there's any changes that need to be made to the plan. And then we'll be distributing these materials again to the TAC and Policy Board, as well as the member jurisdictions. We're going through a cycle of presenting this to the member jurisdictions and getting them to vote on it and adopt this plan before this comes back to the MPO, TAC, and Policy Board in the October meetings. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I will really quickly just show you I'm going to wait for my screen to adjust here, but I'll show you the website, which is up here. So this is the project website that provides links to viewing the draft plan, commenting on the draft plan, and then the interactive comment map that's here. I'll show you in a little bit more zoomed in detail. So this is giving you the full Fringe Area Road Master Plan network. It's symbolizing the network by whether something exists today or if it's still a planned and unbuilt road. So this is tracking with development that's happened and trying to show everything as up to date as possible with where subdivisions have been added. But if you click on anything, you get a little bit of information about what that road is, where it came from, if it's being retained from the last Farm P, if it's something that was developed in this one. We've also kind of merged together the Bismarck Major Streets Plan. So anything basically within the city of Bismarck or its ETA would tell you this is a corridor that originated in the Major Streets Plan that's going to be under Bismarck's jurisdiction to review for development and any impacts on development or adding new streets. But we're trying to give that sort of background so that people understand why Bismarck is here as well when this is really supposed to be looking at the fringe area overall. Another thing I want to point out is that where we've had some changes to the plan from amendments that local jurisdictions have approved, we note those as well. So we're not just showing what's built and what's still unbuilt and planned. We're also showing previous Farm P links that have been removed from the plan because of a change or a land use decision, and giving some information on that so that somebody viewing this map could see right away, okay, I get it, this is removed. It's because of a past decision, it's been moved and superseded somewhere else, and we're leaving that kind of paper trail of how the plan evolved. So I'm happy to take any questions from you. Our update next month, will be very brief because we'll just be finishing up the comment period then. So staff will give a quick update then, and then we'll look forward to being in front of you again in October with the support of the member jurisdictions as we've gone through the presentation cycles to them.
Any questions for Joel? None. Thank you, Joel.
All right, thank you.
Move on to Transit Development Plan. Aaron?
Good afternoon. I just have a brief verbal update for you all today on the Transit Development Plan. So the Transit Development Plan, or TDP, is well underway at this point, and we're excited to be holding the first steering committee meeting tomorrow afternoon, actually. And just as a refresher, the steering committee will include representatives from the MPO, Bismarck Transit, local jurisdictions, state and federal partners, community organizations, and then transit riders as well. And the ultimate goal over the course of the 4 meetings that we'll have with the steering committee is really just to help guide the planning process. And tomorrow we'll be focused on reviewing some of the existing conditions analysis, and then providing some feedback on the engagement plan, and then really diving into issues and opportunities discussion. In addition to that, we're currently completing the existing conditions assessment, and some of the early findings from that are showing strong post-pandemic recovery, with 2025 ridership levels exceeding pre-pandemic levels, and overall system productivity continues to improve system-wide. And early data from the April 2026 service changes, which I know Deidre has provided updates on as well, is showing some strong ridership gains compared to that same period last year from May to April, or April to May, same time period. Our assessment will also include a demographic review and understanding of areas where there might be a higher transit need throughout the region. And this is based on several factors like poverty levels, households that don't have vehicles, population density, senior youth populations, and we'll be reviewing that in comparison to the existing transit network to see how well those groups and areas are being served today. And on that note, I'll just note that a more detailed existing conditions update will be provided at a future board meeting once we kind of wrap up that process and provide the reports for that. So over the coming months, we'll continue focusing on identifying issues and opportunities, conducting some of our stakeholder and public engagement this fall, hosting a hands-on planning workshop, with the steering committee and a few others to really help shape future transit recommendations and explore some different scenarios as we look at the future transit network. We do anticipate bringing service concepts and engagement results back to the board for discussion early next year, and that'll be in addition to the monthly updates that we have just on general progress updates as the project continues. With that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Aaron? Hearing none, thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
We'll move on to traffic data collection and analysis. Kim?
Very much, Mayor Freilich. The traffic data collection and analysis project was presented last month as an RFP to the board. It was released in July, and the deadline for proposals for that particular project were due last Friday, August 14th at 4 p.m. The traffic data collection project is a not to exceed $37,000 project, which will include collection at up to 40 locations within Bismarck and outer Bismarck and Burleigh County, and also traffic data collection to include volumes at all locations. Some locations will include pedestrian counts and also turn movements when appropriate. And all of this information will be analyzed and compiled for use in our 2027 travel demand model update that will occur early in 2027. So this project will begin as soon as a consultant is selected, and it will conclude by about December 31st of this year so that we have all of that data available and ready to use in early 27. Again, with the deadline on Friday, we received 6 responsive proposals, which far exceeded what we were actually expecting. So that kind of puts us into a cut-down scenario where we typically interview 3 to 5 firms. And so our selection committee will be undergoing the qualifications-based selection process to provide a cut down, and then we'll proceed with interviews between August 31st and September 3rd. So this time next month, we'll have more information for you on a consultant.
Thank you, Kim. There is no other business in front of the board, and with that, we are adjourned.